Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution. Hi everyone, welcome to today's video, and joining me is Riz from Carloop. We all know very well from our live streams. Hey Riz, how's it going?
Hey Tom, good to be on as always. We're going to try something a bit different today.
Absolutely, can't wait. So, as Riz said, something a bit different for the channel, possibly the first time we're doing this. We're actually going to do a comparison video looking at three of the most affordable electric vehicles here in Australia. And they all happen to be hatchbacks or small compact SUV sized vehicles. And we've got three of the most affordable EVs on the market, of course, and let's go through them right now. That is, of course, featuring the BYD Dolphin, and we've also got the MG4, and then finally the GWM Ora. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these vehicles one by one and highlighting what the manufacturers want us to know on their website and their configurator page. And then Riz very kindly has drawn up a spreadsheet thanks to the power of Carloop, empowering Australia's EV revolution with their data, and then we'll sort of compare them side by side, and then Riz and I will give you our, I guess, real world experience of having driven these vehicles here in Australia. So Riz, let's start with the BYD Dolphin. Of course, this is from manufacturer BYD, and they've got two variants on the website available for purchase. We've got the dynamic variant and the premium variant, starting at $36,890 before on-roads. Got a choice of colors here for both dynamic and premium. With the premium variant, you get a few more colors, two-tone, as you can see there. And then you've got choice of alloy wheels as well, 16-inch or 17-inch, and then interiors there as well. And generally, the drive-away price for the dynamic is about $39,000, and for premium is about $45,000. So, Riz, yeah, BYD Dolphin.
Yeah, remember Tom when it was first launched, there was a bit of a price war that had just erupted with the hatchbacks.
Mm,
Sort of in June last year, in 2023, everyone was pretty excited that we were going to get cars under $40,000, and so MG was the first to announce their price, and then BYD came just slightly under by about $100. Um, but it's Dolphin's a great car, which we'll talk a little bit more about our take on it.
yep. Absolutely. Let's go through the specs really quickly. As I said, we'll do a bit more comparison between the three variants very shortly, but of course the BYD cars all come with a blade battery for the Dolphin, 44.9 kilowatt hour, 70 kilowatts for the dynamic variant, and up to 340 kilometers WLTP, which is the standard we use here in Australia, more so than the NEDC variant, and then slower charging speed at 60 kilowatts. The premium variant is a bit quicker, charging speed of 80 kilowatts, and a bit more power as well, 150 kilowatts, and a blade battery size of 60 kilowatt hours. So that's kind of the BYD Dolphin in a bit of a nutshell. Let's move on now to the MG4. Let's see what they want to share with us on their website. So the all new electric MG4, as they say on the website, a 5-star ANCAP rating, of course, and it has won a few awards as well, including 2023 Car Sales Car of the Year. So on the website, they want you to know it's got the 5-star ANCAP rating, it's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and boasting 530 kilometers for their longest range variant. And a set of touchscreen, of course, as well, and a whole suite of safety features, and MG Pilot as well, which is their autonomous or their sort of auto steer feature they've got in their cars. Looking stunning in the orange there is, and looking pretty decent on the inside as well. Pretty good package overall.
Yeah, pretty much. Given we'll quickly run through some of the variants that they have, and offering in multiple different battery sizes like the Dolphin, but having a long range variant as well for the
Mm.
MG4.
That's right. And of course, the X Power variant too, which is their zippy little hot hatch. So we'll go through those specs very shortly and the pricing too. Good thing also with the MG4s, with all MG vehicles, there is, I think now they all come with a 10-year warranty for both the vehicle and the battery. So that certainly stands MG out amongst the pack.
Exceptional, best in class. That's across both petrol, diesel, and electric sort of options. So yeah, really good to see.
Amazing stuff, backing their own vehicles. And finally, of the trio, we've got the GWM Ora from car makers Great Wall Motors. Of course, the Ora. And on the website, we've got a stunning white there as well. And boasting 420 kilometers of driving range, it says, and lots of little tabs here showing the interior, exterior, and charging speed as well, up to 11 kilowatts AC. That's a bit different to the other two, so slightly faster charging speed. We'll go through the specs shortly, of course. 7-year unlimited kilometer warranty and 5-year roadside assistance and capped price servicing too. Comes in standard range, extended range, and GT. And from 33,990 drive away for the standard range, which is a pretty good deal. Also 310 kilometers of driving range, 48-hour kilowatt-hour LFP battery, Apple CarPlay, and other features as well. So again, a very smart-looking vehicle in the GWM Ora. All right, Riz, I think that's a nice little overview, introduction to the three vehicles, the GWM Ora, the MG4, and then, of course, the BYD Dolphin, just to quickly remind you guys. So I think it might be time to possibly head over to your spreadsheet, and then we can have a good deep dive into the pricing and the specs. So let's have a look at it right now.
So I guess having a quick look at what these vehicles are, we've obviously spoken about a couple of different warranty options that they have, 6, 7, and 10 years. 10 years, obviously, class leading from MG. Looking at sort of the ranges of, the range offered amongst all of these vehicles, WLTP range of some of them obviously exceed 400, but there's also an MG4 variant, 77 kilowatt hour battery pack that gives up to 530 kilometers of WLTP range. On sort of the efficiency front, they're all sort of similar. Dolphin is a little bit on the upper end when it comes to consumption, but hovering between 140 and sort of 180 watt hours per kilometer. We've spoken about the different battery sizes a lot of these vehicles have. MG has one of the biggest ones when it comes to sort of what they offer and hence the range. And MG also has a performance variant, the X Power, that has the mid-spec battery, the 64 kilowatt hour pack, which, with the dual motor setup is a bit of a pocket rocket. On the extended range front, of course, the Ora also has a above 60 kilowatt hour battery pack in a couple of their variants, and as well as the BYD Dolphin as well, having the same over 60 kilowatt hours of nominal capacity. Charging, of course, is a bit of a thing when it comes to AC charging. The BYD 7 kilowatts. There's also an MG4 variant offering 6.6 kilowatt of AC charging. Well, 11 seems to be pretty sort of dominant amongst MG and the Ora variants. That's helpful if you've got 3-phase power, but for most use cases, I think charging overnight 6.67 kilowatts is enough. But obviously would like to see that at 11 kilowatts for across the range. On the charging speeds front, the fastest charging vehicles, of course, out of these are the MG4s, going up to 135 kilowatts of charging power. BYD has, in the entry-level dynamic variants, 60 kilowatts. But if people are driving it around the city, it's not so bad. Those looking at road tripping, probably better to take either the MG or Ora on certain trips. Looking at towing, I guess most of these vehicles, they're hatchbacks. They're not supposed to really tow a lot, but MG's got 500 kilograms of towing. Pretty much all of them have been tested with 5 stars. I believe the Dolphin also has 5 stars now. We'll have to double check that one. So all of them, but I think most of the ratings are from the 2022. A lot has changed since then. So, obviously the goal is to get the safest car at a good price, and hopefully we'll see some updated and capped test ratings coming up in 2025.
Mm.
Top speed, I guess, we're not really going very fast in these cars unless you buy the MG4
Mm.
X Power. Can hit up to 200 kilometers an hour. Not that I think neither Tom or myself have tested that yet, but that acceleration of 0 to 100 in about 3.8 seconds, it's real. It's fun. 320 odd kilowatts of power there. But on average, most of the these three cars have a powertrain of anywhere between 120 to 180 kilowatts. Um, Boot space wise, they're all roughly the same, but obviously with some of the BYD and MG products, it seems fairly reasonable in terms of the boot capacity that's on offer.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it from a specs point of view.
Yeah, that's good, Riz.
So
Thank you for that. Mm.
no worries.
I was hoping we could let's have a look at the dimensions, Riz. Let's have, just to make sure our
Yeah.
viewers are understanding of the different sizing of cars, and you can see there once Riz gets to the dimensions. There we go.
I
They're
think
all
it's
actually, yeah, 4290. Is that one?
Yeah, that's right. Now there's a bit of a
Mm.
spreadsheet lag.
Mhm.
Supposed to show this, but that's okay. Oh, here we go.
There we go. Yeah.
So
So having a look at that's pretty good. So 4290 for the Dolphins, 4235 for the Auras, 4287 for the MG. So not much really in it at all. We're talking minute amounts between the BYD and the MGs in terms of length. You can argue the GWM Ora is a little bit shorter, maybe like we're talking 6 centimeters between the Dolphin and the Ora. So yeah, there's not much in it at all. Height wise, the Ora is a tiny bit taller than the others, the MG being the shortest of the three. And the boot size capacity wise, it's pretty similar, I think. Although the Ora, I think, probably has the smallest boot size of the three, and that's certainly from real world experience. I remember the Aura having a smaller boot from
mm,
experience.
looking at the curb weight as well, they're all roughly like very similar. Obviously, the MG4X power is a bit on the upper end because it is a dual motor vehicle, but sort of hovering between 1600 and 1800 odd kilos amongst most of them.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, ground clearance is also similar.
yeah, and of course they're all manufactured in China. There's no doubt about that. Interesting too with the battery chemistry. The BYD Blade, battery of course being LFP in chemistry. The MG4 Excite 51 is a LFP battery pack. And I think the GWM Ora in the standard range is also LFP, whereas in the extended range Ora and also the extended range MG4s, correct me if I'm wrong, Riz, I think they're also the NMC or ternary, with nickel, manganese, cobalt chemistry.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep. Um, I guess let's have a look also at the powertrain. So we've got the Dolphins being front wheel drives, and I think from memory, Aura might also be front wheel drive.
I think Aura is. Yeah.
Whereas the MG4, so if you really are a driver's driver, you're going to appreciate the rear wheel drive aspect of MG4. And of course, X Power, the big, the beast mode MG4 is an all-wheel drive, probably the only all-wheel drive variant of the all the cars that we've got here on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think one other thing worth noting with, I guess, MG4 is its suspension. Um, Now, at launch, MG mentioned that this was sort of designed, and they worked closely with the UK-based suspension specialist, and it goes to show in pretty much all variants that it's dynamically very well. It rides really well on the road.
Mm.
So if you're looking for not only sort of rear-wheel drive, but also sort of driving dynamics out of the three cars, that's sort of the main pick. Um, and on the other end of the spectrum, the Dolphin and the Aura are pretty comfortable cars as well. So
Yep. If we could just go back to the charging speeds as well, Riz, because this might be important for people wanting to take this car on a road trip. So let's start with DC charging
let's have
speed.
a DC.
So DC, as we know, these cars generally, especially the Dolphin and the Auras, they don't really charge that quick on the open road. So you've got to take that into account if you do want to go long distance with these vehicles. Whereas the MG4, and I've tested this as well on my video, so check those out. You're looking more, in the 100 to 130 kilowatt hours at top speed, and that's normally at the lower state of charge. Whereas the Auras and the Dolphins will stay around at 80 kilowatts, and that does probably add another 10 minutes in the real world to get it to 80%, generally speaking. And also, let's have a look at AC charging power, Riz. Most of them will be single phase charging. From memory, I think the MG4s were all single phase. Maybe they've changed since since the new releases, possibly. But the Aura certainly, I know they were 11 kilowatts on 3 phase. So that if time is of the essence, then that will be important for as a variable to take into account if you're going to decide between these three vehicles. So thanks, Riz. These are great specs, great comparison for our viewers to look at if you're going to decide between these three. They're all great vehicles. If we could just have a look at the pricing once again. So if we can look at driveway pricing, possibly.
So we've got the recommended retail sort of pricing here. Should we move over to the website and have a quick look at what's there at the moment?
Let's do that. So, well, let's look at before on-roads first, Riz. So we've got, I guess the cheapest before on-roads cost here in Australia would be looking at your chart here, would be the GWM Ora.
Yeah, so, at the moment there's a couple of specials on, and we don't always update the recommended retail prices because they move around so much with all the recent specials that are on. But looking at sort of the driveway prices at the moment, there's a special on for the MG4 Excite 51. That is being sort of $8,000 bonus that's currently being offered by MG. That I think ends at the end of October. So, that once that's gone, who knows what the new price is. But at this stage, there are offers of, 30,990 drive away. Having said that, I have heard that the stock is very, very limited.
Yeah. I mean, at that price, that's insane. So obviously, take this video with a grain of salt. This is October. The pricing obviously will change as stock levels decrease. So 39.90 is probably as good as you'll get between these three makes. And then if we look at the Dolphin, so let's share this tab. So the Dolphin, the dynamic is 39,241 at the moment, drive away. And then premium is 45,421. And I'm not sure if the Ora has got their drive away pricing on the website.
They do. I think it starts at about 33,990. Yeah.
33,990 drive away. So that'd be the second cheapest between the three variants. Yep.
That would be. And the caveat with the Ora is that these prices apparently are going to last till 31st of December, which means you have a couple of months. And that's across all three variants. There's a bit of a drive away price special on till the end of the year.
Yep, fantastic. So now's as good a time as any to pick up, a very good value electric hatchback here in Australia. And by the way, I just want to say we don't work for any of these companies. We're just sharing our real world experience and Riz's stats, of course, and specs and pricing. So yeah, watch our video, take what we say, but obviously make your own decision. Speaking of taking what we say, Riz, we should probably give our opinion, having driven these three vehicles. Why don't you start, Riz, and between the three, give us, a few pros and cons from your experience.
Cool. So we'll start with what we've got on this. We'll start with the Dolphin. That very comfortable car. More room inside than what you expect from a hatchback like that. Very well designed in terms of the interior space. Quite funky looking, which is always good, and you can always tell when you see a Dolphin on the road as such. Looking a bit at the sales, they have not performed as well as I would have liked them to. Part of the reason I think is because BYD hasn't promoted that car very much since they officially announced and launched it at that SeaWorld event that we went to on the Gold Coast in 2023. So yeah, no, I think it's a good car. It's a really, really good car. But at that price right now, it's the other two I think are more compelling options from a pricing point of view. But comfortable car.
Yeah.
your sort of take on the Dolphin, Tom? Anything that sort of stood out with your testing?
Yeah, yeah. Before we move on to the MG4, yeah, I think Riz, I agree with you. What your comments are like, it's a nice, comfortable vehicle, good size. Probably for a young family or a couple or even a single person, that kind of size. Um, it's probably given the current pricing, it's probably not as appealing as say the MG4 or even Ora, for example. The BYD software is reasonable. It's got Apple CarPlay, it's got Android Auto. Front wheel drive will make it a bit torquey if you like to accelerate a little bit out of curves and things. I'd probably personally get the premium. I think for a few more $1,000s, I think you get probably a better vehicle in terms of the power. Like 670 kilowatts is, for an EV, it is actually quite slow. Probably not enough power for me personally. Whereas, you're looking at more 150 kilowatts. That's probably more comparable with the other cars that we're looking at, the MG4s and the GWM Ora. So yeah, I think between the three, this is not a bad option, but with the current pricing, certainly the other two certainly seem more compelling at this stage. Let's move on to the MG4s, Riz.
Yeah, I think we'll start with the way the vehicles are. Ground up electric vehicle,
Mm.
like the Dolphin. I like the styling of the MG4. I think it's aggressive. It's a little bit different. There's not much else on the market, and you need to make the hatchbacks look a bit more sort of aerodynamic and a bit sporty, because that's what this car is sort of aiming for, the affordable, sporty hatchback. Hence the variants, including the X Power, which is top of the range. With the 10-year warranty that they've got at the
Mm.
moment, that price, the way it drives for a rear wheel drive car, there aren't many rear wheel drive options, especially under $40,000. And that suspension, I think, as a package, and if you look at the four variants that they have, there's something in it for everyone, especially if you're looking for getting your first electric car. MG's really pushed hard, I think, to get that 30,990 drive away price. If nothing else, it's gotten the mainstream drivers to start to think about electric vehicles, and no longer something that is, on the real expensive end. This is cheaper than most Corolla hybrids. Um, and just as an overall package, I think it's well tuned. The pricing is right. I hope they continue on the pricing front, because that will put additional pressure on the likes of Dolphin and Ora to keep their prices lower. And this has won the awards for all the right reasons. Purely because they dynamically, it's really good. There's lots of choices, and I think the way the sales have gotten this year, they've sold over 3,300 of them till the end of September, and that's before the big October sort of price cut, which I think would have helped them sell. I mean, I don't even want to pick a figure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 4,000 sales by the time October ends, and we'll find out in early November. So once again, as Tom said, we're not getting paid by any of these brands. I may sound like I've sort of been, getting some backhanders from MG, but that's not what's happening. But I think it's a really compelling offer. Your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, a great summary, Riz. I agree with you. I think for me, between the three makes, this is probably my pick, the MG4. For me, this looks the best of the three. It looks the most sporty, the most like a modern hatchback, styled very well, and aggressive pricing as well, as we've mentioned before. Great inclusions. The only thing that lets it down, I think, for me personally, is the interior. I just don't. I think it looks a bit plain for what it is. I think the Dolphin and the Auras have got a better interior, better, softer finishing, and just better styling and lighting overall inside. The software also lets it down a little bit. It's just not as intuitive as the BYD, and in terms of the Ora as well. But having said that, it's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so you can't complain too much. And yeah, I think the Excite is fantastic. It's got an LFP battery pack. The Excite 64 also, even though it's NMC, it's, for me, when I drove that vehicle, I felt like that probably had the most balance between power and comfort, driving around Sydney when I had that as a media car loan. So that was my probably favorite of all the variants. I've tested the 77, the 64, and the 51, and the 64 just felt most balanced to me, and a really good value vehicle as well. So good range, decent charging, rear-wheel drive, such a zippy little vehicle. And of course, I had a chance to experience the X-Power as well. That's a fantastic vehicle if you can just splash out a bit more. But yeah, it's such a great package, and for 30 grand, if you want the Excite 51, is honestly, it's very hard to beat, very hard to argue with that package. So
Now,
yeah.
a bit of I guess on closing remarks, a bit of insight for our listeners and viewers. Now, you said, Tom, 64 kilowatt hours, sort of the sweet spot. X Power has it. There are a couple of X Powers that are on the used market, not used very much, for probably the same price as the top spec BYD Dolphin.
Wow.
So around 45 grand mark. So for those that are, want that little bit of a best of both worlds and dual motor performance. Obviously, with the used cars, you'll have the remainder of the 7-year warranty, not the 10-year warranty offer at the moment.
Mm,
But if you want something that's a bit exciting, that for under $50,000, there isn't anything else on the market that can give you that level of thrill and, I guess, enjoyment and performance on the road for that sort of price. But yeah, as Tom said, its interior can be a little bit plain for some. The tech is not the greatest, but there is the next year, the 2025 model
mm.
may have better tech, but I guess we haven't tested that. So what we've got right now, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's exceptional, some might say. Um, Finally, GWM Ora. So here we go. This is probably the closest to, like, let's say the VW Beetle that used to exist and still does to some degree. But Riz, what do you think of this vehicle?
Yeah, quirky looks. I think it's I quite like it in person. It looks a lot better than the pictures. Very comfortable on the inside. The tech is reasonable. It's not best in class. It's sort of it's average. It's there. Um, Comfortable, definitely. Interior is quite cleverly designed. Uh, and yeah, you definitely if you see one on the road, it's the Aura. So
Mm,
and the price at the moment, it's priced pretty well till the end of the year. So anyone that's interested, it's probably the cheapest extended range electric car on the market. At 34,990 drive away. So do test drive this and have it on your list of cars to shortlist when you're looking at an electric vehicle or a hatchback anyway. Your thoughts, Tom? You got to spend a bit of time with the car.
yeah, so I've actually spent, I've done multiple videos on all three cars we've discussed today. So make sure you check out Ludicrous Feed. Lots of videos there to look at and to shop from. But as you said, Riz, the extended range is actually really good value. You're looking at $1,000 more, but you get 63 kilowatt hours versus 48. So a lot more battery and a lot more range as well. And a lot of the inclusions are very similar between the two models, sorry. And yeah, I think between the three, this is just totally subjective. Obviously, looks is very subjective, but probably not my cup of tea in terms of, just the exterior, superficial, how it looks. But obviously, as you, the viewer, might think differently, and that's fine. Leave your comments below. But for me, probably not quite something what I'm after. It's also a bit small in terms of boot size. It just, practically speaking, between the three, this has probably got the smallest boot size, and you can feel it when you're loading stuff into the boot. It's got some interesting colors as well. So I think there's like a light sky blue color, which some of you might find appealing. And the interior is actually pretty good. Of the three, I'd say this is probably the best interior. It's got some nice soft finishes, nice colors as well. It feels really plush. It feels a lot more expensive than the price suggests. You feel like you're in almost a European kind of vehicle. I'm not saying that in jest. It feels really nice. And the software, I think from memory, there's visualization. So obviously it's making use of cameras and possibly a radar as well, because I can see cars moving beside you and as you're driving along too. So the software is probably between the three feels the most refined between the GWM, BYD, and MG. And of course, it's got Apple CarPlay too. And the biggest advantage too of this car is that it's got three-phase charging at 11 kilowatts. So if that's something you need, then the GWM is certainly something you should look at. But again, a great offering, and I'm glad, Riz, there are so many choices now between different makes. You got got a cute-looking car in the GWM Ora. You've got the MG4, a bit more sporty looking with the rear-wheel drive and better driving dynamics, and of course an all-rounder in the BYD Dolphin. So our market is maturing, Riz, and I'm glad we've got so many more options now in this hatchback segment.
Yeah, and what's exciting with some of the latest pricing is that on the used market, there's a lot more of affordable options that are less than 12 months old. As they get a bit older, the pricing will continue to sort of come down, making it more accessible to more people. Also, now what it does for the new brands that are launching some of their vehicles, especially some of the affordable ones that are coming into the market, they really have to pick the price carefully. So with all that in mind, it may open up the market for some new, even smaller offerings or more affordable versions of these very cars that we've gone through. So market's constantly changing, and I think that's one of the reasons why Tom, we decided to do this video now to sort of say what's the state of play and what can you get, because it's shifted massively in the last 12 to 18 months.
Absolutely, Riz. Yeah, and look, this video has gone on for longer than I expected, but that's good because we really wanted to give our real world experience and of course Riz's data from Carloop as well to give you, the shopper and buyer, the best possible overview of these three very affordable vehicles. And we'll try to update these videos as we go along, as more entrants come into the market, as these cars get updated. And leave your comments below as well as to what other comparisons you want to see us do moving forward. SUVs, sedans, even charging infrastructure. Let us know. Do we want a state of origin between all the different charging infrastructure in the different states? I think that'd be quite interesting as well. Compare us to the rest of the world, as for example, to China, Europe, to US. I think that'd be quite interesting. And yeah, if you own one of these vehicles, leave your comments as well, because a potential EV buyer would love to hear from a real world owner, especially if you've had it for a couple of years even, or maybe not. Well, yeah, some of them have been out for definitely at least a year. So leave your comments below. It's very handy for us and handy for the viewer as well. So, but once again, Riz, I want to thank you and your data from Carloop. Very informative, and your insights too. So much appreciated.
Anytime, Tom. I think the good thing is we can try and bring everything together, and then back it with some of the experiences that you've had. The videos are on the channel now. Your reviews, and you went through pretty in depth with a lot of these cars. Just gives you the right sort of information before you go and test drive it yourself. And yeah, any thoughts, feedbacks, or comments, just leave them down in the comments section, and we'll do our best to cover them in future videos.
That's right. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, looking forward to reading them all. So until the next comparison from Riz and myself, it's happy charging. Thanks, everyone. Take care.